Man, I tell you, the NFL and covering the NFL, you realize that it gives these players a lot, but it takes a lot too. And that was my feeling when I heard really last night that Calijah Kancey had a pectoral injury. I've not known anyone since I've been covering the NFL for about 3 decades of someone who, when you hear the word pectoral, they go, "Oh yeah, he's just going to miss a little bit of time." It always ends up being a tear in my experience, and that was the case again. Calijah Kancey underwent an MRI on Tuesday, and they found out that he did have a torn pec, and he's out for the season, and that is a catastrophe. Not just for the Bucs, but certainly for Calijah, because he's a really good player. And I think if you tack on to the fact that he missed essentially the first four and then the first 5 games, really, I mean, his rookie year he played. He started in Minnesota and he played a series or two, and he aggravated a calf injury. The next year he had it in training camp and missed 4 or 5 games. And then you start this season, and he really was playing his best football. I mean, him and Vita have become, sort of the power and speed, if you will, that really play off each other's strengths. And then, he goes out there and he has this injury and it's season ending. And there's nothing you can do. The labels are going to come. It's going to be, first round pick, he's injury prone, too small, undersized, and the guy works his tail off. He said that if I played 17 games, I think I could lead the league in sacks. Not sure he was going to go on that path, but nonetheless, it's a significant, significant injury for the Bucs because if you look at what they have done in just the first 2 games, they're the 5th best rushing defense in the NFL. That's hard to do. They're allowing 76.5 yards per game on the ground. And they played 2 pretty good running teams, especially with Atlanta and Bijan Robinson. And to shut those teams down the way they have on the ground and force teams to have to throw, that's really been why they've held clubs down to the points they have. So, um, not a lot you can do in terms of replacing him. You're not. I don't think there's not a bunch of defensive tackles sitting on the waiver wire somewhere. That's not going to happen. So you go to your roster and you hope that one of your young kids can come in and play. Whether that's Elijah Roberts or somebody like that, and you move on. It's next man up. It truly is. That's the job. That's the game. And you have to avoid these little assassins that are behind every game and every corner. The Bucs already obviously are struggling at the offensive line position. To that end, Luke Gedeke aggravated his foot injury. He's probably now going to miss a couple weeks. I guess again that news could have been worse. It's not something that he's damaged, further to the point where, he's going to miss the season or significant time. But you got to juggle even more your offensive line, and then that's what the thing like for this game, they were so mismatched, if you will. Clearly, Houston had the advantage with their edge rushers, and then to lose Gedeke on top of that, and it's death by 1,000 paper cuts. But they've hung in there. They've hung in there. They've run the ball really well. I'll say that for this new offensive line, especially in this past game. Bucky and Rashad have played as hard as any 2 running backs I've seen the Bucs play. I'm going back to Allstott and Warwick Dunn. Yeah, I went there. Allstott was an absolute bull. But, nonetheless, both those guys are running with that kind of effort. And as long as you can get that, and you can move the ball on the ground like that, then it's okay to have these many guys kind of patchworking it for now. But it'll be a problem going forward, and now Gedeke's another one of those guys just got paid, got a big contract. You want him here for the long haul. And, he missed 4 or 5 games last year with a concussion, nothing to do about that per se. And now he's got the foot problem. So they're leaking oil a little bit. Not a lot of good news on the injury front, but the good news is they are 2-0, and other teams are going to have injuries as well, and you just got to kind of battle through that. And got Godwin that's still out, and Tristan Wirfs is going to come back, and you just hope you can keep winning these games in dramatic fashion, which never happens. But This is kind of the character they're showing right now. There was, a little bit of, I don't know if it's controversy or reflection, probably more on my part and others, to take a look at that football game and realize that when Nick Chubb scores on a 25-yard touchdown with just a little over 2 minutes left, and there's still being a 2-minute warning, and the Bucs having all 3 timeouts. If you watch the play, the questions are: did the Bucs instruct, or did Todd Bowles instruct the Bucs defense to let him score? Because if he goes down anywhere between there and the 25-yard line, it's a chip shot field goal. Now, you can't assume you're going to make every field goal. Lord knows that Chase McLaughlin has not done that. But nonetheless, you're not going to get the ball back with much time. You're going to have to use your timeouts, the 2-minute warning as well. And it's a whole different deal if you've only got a few seconds left and have to go, to get back into at least field goal range. So as I look at it, and I've watched it many times now, this is I wasn't at the press conference, so it was virtual and we were flying, and I don't believe the question was asked. At least I didn't see it on the quote sheet. But did somebody order the code red? Like, did somebody say, "Hey, we're going to pretend like we're playing this play, but we want them to score, because our best chance is to get the ball last and go down the field with 3 timeouts and a 2-minute warning." That would take a lot of, I don't know, foresight for sure, guts indeed.
If they did that, the new time management coach earned his money. And then
big time. Yeah, big time. If he said to Todd Bowles, "Hey, look, you might be better off letting him score right here and have faith in your offense to get it back down the field, and we score a touchdown with 2 minutes and a 2-minute warning and 3 timeouts," that would be quite the recommendation. And he should be front page news right now if that's what he did. As I watch the play, and I'm looking for video evidence, and you just don't know what you don't know. But I see the guys up front actually getting blocked and having some effort in trying to, to get to the quarterback and do their job, get to the running back. But there is a point where I think at minimum, if you remember Antoine Winfield Jr., and 2 years ago, this guy was Mr. Hustle. I mean, he always plays, to the very end. He never gives up on a play. That's his genius. And we've seen him several times a few years ago knock balls out at the goal line when a guy was going in, and just prior to him reaching the goal line, he would knock the ball out of his hands. It would go through the end zone for a touchback or such. And in this case, Winfield clearly pulls up. Now, whether he pulls up because he feels like, I'm just not going to get there, or he realizes that, hey, at this point, it's better to let him score and give our offense a chance with all that time, I'm not sure. But of the guys that I watched, I would question almost a realization on Winfield's part that, hey, we're better off letting him run through the end zone here. And if he thought that, good on him, because your instincts are, and especially his instincts are to never give up on a play. But man, if Bowles ordered the code red and said, we're gonna look like we're trying to stop them, but we're gonna be the Washington Generals on this one, to the Globetrotters hidden ball trick, that would be genius. And I just haven't asked them. Nobody. It was not really asked.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, if they did that with over 2 minutes left there, like that's a gutsy call.
Yeah, it is.
Turned out to be the right call, if that's true.
Yep, that too.
And shows a change in Todd Bowles, because that's not something Todd Bowles would have done before.
Right.
And you hate to say let somebody score. The thing that at first when people started saying that, and I'm like, Todd Bowles wouldn't do the Bucs, but they had held the Texans offense to 32 yards rushing for the game.
Right.
They didn't get a big run.
No.
And that, I mean, he got that run fairly easily.
Yeah, he popped it. Yeah.
It was, and granted, the coverage they were in kind of let it go too. It wasn't the second level right there.
Right.
But you start thinking back, and you're like, they hadn't let a run off all game. How did that happen now?
Yeah.
So I understand why people are looking at it and asking it.
Sure.
We may never know the answer.
Well, yeah, it's true. I mean, like I said, no one's going to necessarily admit to ordering that code red. You don't want to give up on a play. Well, you can't assume a field goal, but clearly, if they play it out, the Bucs are going to have much time, and so I tend to think that it wasn't universally said to the defense, let him score. But I do think there was a realization on Winfield's part that I don't want him, and for that matter, if Chubb had had the presence of mind of falling down at the 1 yard line or the 2 yard line, again, you're kind of risking that maybe there'll be a bad play or a missed field goal there if you're the Texans. But that's a low risk, high reward situation for not letting the Bucs get the ball back, where you can burn their timeouts and a 2-minute warning. So I think had Chubb had the presence of mind to do that, then obviously the game is going to end. And if the Bucs were smart enough to say, we would rather our offense have the time to go down and win the game than for us to think we can hold them, out of here. That's crazy to think, but that there might be something to it. I tend to think there was not. I tend to think that, Bowles would have played it straight up, but I don't know. You've got analytics guys, you got them reminding you of, how much time you would have left if you use all your timeouts here, if they don't get in the end zone, when would you likely get the ball? Changes everything, but doesn't matter because we know what happened. We know what happened. They scored, and the Bucs did have all that time. And to Baker Mayfield's credit, he thrives in those situations. It's almost as if, he knows there's a couple things that go against the defense, and that is, you can't substitute. You can't substitute because they're going to go fast. And, that said, you run the risk of bringing if you bring a lot of blitzes or you do something exotic, you could give up a big play really quickly. And at minimum, you want the team, to, use up its timeouts to, not get something over the top where it's an easy score. And I've had this argument, with others, including my radio partner Neil Ardman, about, why do teams do that? Why do they play a certain way all during the game, and then when they get to the last couple of minutes, they totally change? Well, because think about the alternative, right? Like you're not just playing the scoreboard, you're playing the clock. These are timed events, and when the 60 minutes is up, if it's not tied, the score's not tied, somebody's going to be a winner and somebody's going to be a loser. So you just can't go into it with like, well, we're just going to keep on bringing it. I saw Greg Schiano do that in New York. I think it was his first road game here, and they were beating the hell out of Eli Manning and the Giants, and he had all these exotic run blitzes. He was bringing the house almost every play, and he was leaving one-on-ones all over the field. And finally, Eli started taking advantage of him and just one after another, bomb after bomb, and then wound up winning the game. And it was like, why are you so stupid? You had a big lead on a team. If you just play cover two, they're going to run out of time. They're not going to have time to come back. And yet, I've seen the other side of that. So I don't know. I don't know that they'll ever tell us if that were true or not. But in my mind, I tend to think that they didn't order all 11 guys to kind of like, hey, make it look good, but let them score. I do think Winfield, though, had a recognition of it. And I think that, rather than chase him to the pylon and try to knock the ball out, he kind of just said, all right, well, let's go ahead and let him score. But it's a great question. I did watch a lot of the NFL shows on my flight back from Houston, and particularly, NFL Network and Get Up and all of that. And man, Baker Mayfield has probably gotten more love in the last 24 hours than I think he has maybe in his career. And people have, woken up to the fact that he's not, that guy, right, that couldn't keep a job and it was a bust in Cleveland and, waived in Carolina and so on and so forth. He's changed that narrative. But now the question becomes, is he among the league's best, right now? Like, is he an elite quarterback? Where are the Bucs in the pantheon of, the highest ranked teams in the league? And, he was getting a ton of respect, and deservedly so, for, just how well he played down the stretch. I mean, we talked about it, and it was in my story about how rare it is to, win your first two games on the final drive of the game. It almost never happens, and yet Baker's been able to navigate that. And so, he is underrated to some degree. He's certainly probably underpaid to some degree. But the one thing he is clutch. Like, that's the one thing we've seen of Baker, that when you need a big play, he's very capable of getting it somehow, some way. And he did that on 4th and 10 last night, or on Monday Night Football. And it wasn't easy, and then there's a couple plays where, look, he took some shots, um, and he popped back up and got in guys' faces and was salty about it. Now, I videotaped him, and I posted this on Twitter of him walking from the podium where he talked to reporters after the game back to the locker room. And, buddy, if you think that's a guy that's not in pain, I got news for you, because it did not look good. And I cannot imagine, I mean this, because most of the weeks this is true, but I can't imagine how he felt when he woke up the next day after taking the beating he took. He had to be so sore at minimum. So I expect him to miss maybe some practice time earlier, or not early in the week. We have a short week now because obviously they played on Monday night and then got home at, I was told, around 3 a.m. Tuesday morning. So these guys are going to be a little blurry-eyed. You'll have to be limited a little bit in practice and how much contact, if any, you can have early in the week, and then we'll see later in the week what's going on. So I want to get into the kickers, and particularly Chase McLaughlin, and what's going on there and what the Bucs should do about it. But first, hey, get on down to Breitling Boutique. That's at International Plaza Mall. You know where that is. It's only the biggest, nicest mall in Tampa Bay. And when you go there, you want to go to the center of that mall on the upstairs floor, the second floor. That's where you're going to find Breitling Boutique. And the Breitling Company's been in business for over 140 years, making the best Swiss watches. They've been at International Plaza for more than 5 years. Now, when you go in there, you're going to love the customer service. I mean, they're going to take their time. They're going to show you their beautiful products. Sit down, have a drink, relax a little bit, and make sure you check out the men's watches, the chronomats, the Navitimers. They also have ladies' watches for your wife, your girlfriend. These are sports watches that are very durable, and she gets to choose from just a vast array of colored wristbands. And while supplies last, they are celebrating the NFL's 104th year anniversary with 32 different team watches. Again, I was in International Plaza about a week and a half or so ago, and I saw that the Bucs team watch was still up there with the colored logo and or the color team colors on the face of the watch, the logos inside. They had them for them, the Jacksonville Jaguars, I think, a couple others. These things are really collector's items. It is Breitling Boutique, International Plaza Mall. Please, when you go, let them know that you heard about it on Sports Day Tampa Bay. And I'm wondering, I didn't see the tryout list on Tuesday, but I got to believe, well, it'll be either or, actually. On the one hand, you could say, hey, the Bucs need to work out some of their kickers, because Chase McLaughlin now has missed 3 kicks in 2 games, including an extra point. Could have cost them in both instances. In both games, he could have been the reason they lost. They managed to overcome those mistakes. But the guy has been, just nails, like a 90%, field goal kicker last year, and they rewarded him with a big contract. Even though it's one of those positions, man, where there's no warning, you just lose your swing, and you get the yips or whatever, you can't get it back. So I I tend to think they're not going to bring anybody to work out. I think that he's earned and probably deserves, since they're 2-0, no thanks to him necessarily, but since they did win both games, that the best course would be to hope that he works himself out of it, gets back in his groove, his muscle memory, everything, because he's a talented guy. But this specialist thing, man, I've seen so many kickers just lose it. It is such an isolated, sort of performance you have every week, and he looked shell shocked after he missed those kicks. Like, I think he was wondering what the hell was going on, but. He's been one of the best kickers in the league for a while now, and I think the Bucs will probably have to, at least for the short term, ride it out and hope that he finds his groove.
Yeah, I mean, because the thing is, and I know we even talked last night, maybe they'd have tryouts, and it's the
Yeah,
easy
we
thing.
don't know.
It's the
I
easy
haven't
thing to
seen the
say.
list. Yeah,
But when you bring that guy in, which you don't think is better than Chase because you didn't have him here already, then do you wreck Chase's confidence?
Yeah, if you're going to
Like,
bring somebody in and still keep him around, I don't think you're helping him. I mean, some people would say, well, competition will be good for him. You'll have to, batten down the hatches a little bit. I think you're it's prelude to a release almost, and yet
if you're bringing somebody in, you better be prepared to release Chase.
you better be prepared to sign him and release Chase. And yet Atlanta lost the game, because their kicker couldn't make a kick. They signed a guy and he made 5 field goals in a win at Minnesota the next week. So they do make a difference, right? Especially good ones. And I'm just like personally, they got to be agonizing about it because Chase has just been not just good. He's been great. He's been arguably the top 3 in the NFL for everything, including field goals over 50 yards. I mean, this guy's been pretty flawless for a while. So, you hope that it isn't something between the ears, but right now it looks like it's something between the ears because he's just not getting the same swing. He's banged a couple uprights, I think. Missed 3 kicks already. I'm not sure he missed 3 all last year, Steve.
Yeah, I mean, off the top of my head, I can't think of 3 that he did.
Yeah.
I mean, we were just talking a couple weeks ago that special teams was a strength with Chase,
It was.
and then Riley Dixon is punting, and they had issues there on
Yep.
Sunday night as well.
Listen, they were the worst they've ever. They had the trifecta, right? They had a blocked punt, which can never happen. And it wasn't just one guy; it was like 4 guys that got through the line of scrimmage. They had a long kickoff or punt return, punt or kickoff return. I think it was punt return.
It was punt.
That certainly hurt them, and they missed the field goal. They missed the field goal and clanged it off the right upright. That's the trifecta, man. Like you should lose all those games, right? That when you do stuff like that, and statistically, I'm sure the number is really up there, but they managed to overcome it, and that's a sign of a good team. They managed to play through their mistakes. They picked each other up. But to answer your question, I think if I were the Bucs and Chase has played as bad as he can play these first couple of weeks, but I'm sitting here at 2-1 in spite of him, or 2-0 in spite of him. I'm going to keep rolling the dice that he gets it back, because if he does, I know I got one of the best kickers in the league. If he doesn't, I don't know who the hell I'm going to get, and chances are it won't be one of the best kickers in the league, because he would already be on a roster if it was, right? So you got the guys doing the circuit, and that can be unreliable at best. And yet, the Atlanta Falcons got 5 field goals out of their new kicker, and so it does happen, but it's something that they'll have to address. And finally, how they say if you go to a game in baseball, you're likely to see something you've never seen before. I wasn't at the game, but I did see this. I saw a guy reach over the fence and catch a potential home run ball.
It was a good catch, too. I mean, he had to reach a long way.
Yeah, full extension. It was beautiful. Full extension, makes the catch of a long fly ball. The big fly hit by Lowe, right? Yeah.
Yep, Brandon Lowe. Yep.
Yeah, Brandon Lowe. And then so we're waiting for New York to weigh in. And then the explanation it was an oxymoron, made no sense at all. It was like, after reviewing, the fan did interfere. However, it was a home run, so therefore it's a home run. Well, wait a minute. If he interfered and he affected the play, I mean, that's what interference means. How can you award a guy a home run? It just seemed weird.
Yeah, it was. I mean, he says, "Well, there's fan interference." You're like, "Oh man, no 3-run home run," and they were down 4-0 at the time,
right?
So that home run makes it 4-3, and you're like, "Oh man!" And he goes, "Oh, but it would have been a home run." So and then what? So then John Snyder
bizarre.
comes out and argues.
Yeah,
but then the next inning.
So the next thing is another big fly to kind of right center, right field, and I guess this one was gone. Right?
Well, Josh Lowe jumped up, got his glove on it.
He did,
but it went off his glove, hit the top of the wall, and then bounced back into play.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it actually bounced into a fan's hands and hit the top of the wall,
right
back into play. So initially, it's a triple for him.
That's what they ruled initially, but then they went back and looked at it. Right?
And it was correct. It was a home run.
Yeah.
Josh Lowe didn't catch it, and it went over the wall, hit the
hit inside the wall over there, and bounced back out. Yeah.
But yeah, in the same that would have been the same inning, but
It
back-to-back
was
half
basically
innings.
back-to-back at bats. Yeah.
Half innings.
It was crazy. It's like I haven't seen this in a game. Now I'm going to see it twice. But I guess the moral of the story is bring your gloves. Because
so my sons were asking about this because we were watching it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that fan could get kicked out for interfering.
I thought he could.
And so we started talking, but the more I think about it, it's like, if you're going to put seats there and you're going to hit this hard object over 100 miles an hour towards someone.
Yep.
Like, you've sold them a seat there. You put it right there at the edge of play, right at the home run line. Like, they can't protect themselves. Now, that guy dove a couple seats over trying
Oh, he had full extension, yeah.
But in general, like, I don't know if it's going to hit the top of the wall, hit just barely over just in front. Like, I'm going to, instinct's going to say, let me catch it so it doesn't hit me.
Sure.
Like, why are you kicking a fan out for that? And I know the Jeffrey Mayer thing from years ago, but, like,
I think if you reach into the field of play, you should know you can't do that.
Well, but you know that, but look, that ball's coming at you. If it's 6 inches over the wall and not going to hit you, okay. But if it goes 6 inches back and it hits you or hits the top of the wall and ricochets right to you, like, you're going to get hurt. Like,
I mean, I don't have trouble with the fans coming to the game with gloves on. I really don't.
I mean, if you're leaning over the wall and, halfway down the wall to catch it, yeah, of course. But like 6 inches on a ball hit 350 feet.
Well, and the one thing you can't assume is that the outfielder was coming down with it, right?
Well, no, you can't do that.
And I think people tend to look at it and go, "Oh, you'd have had that," and it's like, really? Are you sure?
Yeah,
because that ball's traveling at about 100 miles an hour.
But I'm just saying, if you're going to put a seat there, then don't punish a fan for that.
Yeah, no, I get it.
I said, like, you're the one who put the seat right at the home run line.
Yeah,
you don't have to put seats there.
No, and in right field, it's not. I'm trying to think if they actually have seats. I guess they do. They have a couple rows up against the outfield.
It's not like seats like behind home plate there.
No, they're more like folding chairs. But
yeah.
But regardless, because we looked at it when we got our tickets in West, looked at it and said SRO. Good dude.
Yeah,
we're in section SRO. Really? That's standing room only. He goes, what?
Oh, I got good seats.
They were really good. I mean, you run on top of the outfielders. There's no question about that. But man, the old legs got a little tired that day. I can tell you that. Oof. But yeah, it's the Rays are now 16 games behind the Blue Jays in first place. 16 games.
Well, yeah, and they can only. I mean,
they're only 2 games from the bottom of the AL East.
There's only 11 games left.
I understand this, but do you know that the Orioles are only 2 games back of the Rays for the last place as the last place team?
I mean, the Rays last year finished 80 and 82.
Right.
In order for the Rays to just match that record,
right,
they've got to go 7 and 4 the rest of the way.
Doable, but not the way they're playing.
This season's going to end up worse than last.
Yeah, and then what?
Yeah, and now they're right now 9 games back of the wild card. Houston is winning against Texas right now, but they're still playing that. They're only up 2 in the 8th.
Yeah, you can stick a fork in these guys. I mean, they're done, and they know they're done.
So if the Astros win tonight, and I'm going to do some quick math in my head here.
Mm-hmm.
That'd give them 83 wins.
Right.
They could eliminate the Rays tonight.
Tonight?
If the Astros win on Tuesday, then the Astros win and a Rays loss on Wednesday, and the Rays are eliminated.
Wow. That's amazing. And then I'll just ask, what was the whole season for? What do we...
Junior Caminero getting 46 and maybe more home.
Oh, just bombs, yeah. Incredible.
Brandon Lowe hit number 29.
He did.
That's a good
That
season.
was the fan interference play.
It'd be nice to see him get to 30.
Get 30. Get your goal, yeah. Get your goal. They asked Cash, and I don't know the context of this question, but it was about playing at Steinbrenner, and he just said, yeah, I look forward to getting back at the Trop. Those are words you would have never expected someone from the Rays organization to actually endorse. Like, man, I really missed the Trop. I love the Trop. The Trop
We've
was
always
awesome.
said the Trop was not bad. Like,
It's underrated,
was
man.
Was it the greatest stadium in baseball? No.
Nope.
But it was always 72. And as long as the 16th Street substation was working,
You knew you were going to
game was
play.
getting played.
Yeah. Air conditioned.
Yeah.
Players got to, not get as beat up.
I don't like the turf part of it, but that's part of being in a dome.
Right. But it's funny just hearing Cash like, no, can't wait to get back. Well, things did not go your way.
But yeah, they could be eliminated tonight if the Astros hold on Tuesday night. And they're not done as we finish this. But
we don't know anything. We don't know what we don't know. But I wonder if the new owners will, keep the front office and manager in place. I assume they would.
I have to imagine that,
at least initially.
Yeah, I imagine they would like to. Now it's that works both ways.
Right, exactly.
Eric DeAnder has to say, "Hey, yeah, I want to stay."
That's
Kevin
right.
Cash as well.
Yep.
I would imagine they're not. So you bought a team, and you can do what you want as an owner,
right?
But your first priority is a stadium. Period.
Mm-hmm.
So if Eric DeAnder and Kevin Cash are viewed positively by your fan base and the community, then why would you make that change? Now, there are some that don't view them positively at this point. 2 straight seasons of losing records will do that to you.
Yeah.
But, is that the first thing you want to shake up? Maybe it is. I don't know.
Yeah, we don't know. We'll know shortly because I think they're going through the approval process now from a finance standpoint. But yeah, it's weird.
I would think that's not, and there's been reports that both DeAnder and Kevin Cash have many years left on their deals.
Right.
That maybe, if I'm the new owner, my priority is the stadium.
Absolutely.
Because you've got 3 years left to play in the Trop, but realistically, you're probably playing there 4 or 5 years.
Right.
Because you don't have even land for a stadium, yet alone the design and everything else. It usually takes about 3 years to build them.
Yep.
But you haven't got the first stuff yet. So you're not going to be ready to move into a new stadium in 3 years. So you're probably going to have to extend the lease at the Trop for another year or two beyond the 3 years remaining.
Beyond 2028, yeah.
So DeAnder and Kevin Cash are viewed as some of the best in baseball. Yes, they've hit 2, years that haven't been as successful as the 5 previous when they made 5 straight playoff appearances. But,
right.
I'm not shaking that up yet. If next year doesn't go well, we'll look at that. That would be what I would do. But
yeah, and in the short term, I think it's what they'll do. But
yeah,
there's bound to be changes. You just don't know what ones those are. We don't, like, for example, I didn't know that when Andrew Friedman left, that Joe Madden had in his contract he could leave.
Yeah,
like there's certain things you don't know how they're written that could certainly impact it. So.
Yep. Well, and as the Rays season's wrapping up, and like I said, could be eliminated today, the Lightning season beginning, it's media day.
Fantastic. I can't wait. Can't wait, as Bart Scott would say.
So training camp will open tomorrow at Brandon at the TGH Iceplex.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, media today at Benchmark International Arena. They get their photos taken. They skate on the ice and all the video stuff. And
there you go.
It's actually media day is quite an ordeal for all these teams anymore.
Is it?
With the amount of social media stuff and TV stuff and intros and this, and the amount of stuff the players do, and they also go through their medicals and everything else on media day, which was the real reason for media day was medicals, your headshot, your official headshot that the league and everybody uses. But the amount of stations players have to go through now for, your TV partner needs some opens for players, and then
corporate sponsor stuff.
The arena needs to do their intros. The arena stuff needs to do it. And then social media.
Yeah, social
media's got fun stuff, and then the basic stuff, and there's just so many things that.
Yeah, it's a lot. It is a lot
going on during media day. It's actually, it's a grind for these players, and they're just rushed from station to station to station to station. It's really grown over the years.
Right at Patches, man. You know what's next. What's coming next is you're going to be on skates.
Yep.
which is awesome. Best time of the year is approaching. If we could just get it to cool down under, I don't know, say 98 degrees would be nice. It was really warm in Houston. Good thing they had the roof closed in that stadium.
I mean, the Lightning start practice tomorrow. Their first preseason game is Monday night.
I love that about hockey. It's like, shake my hand, I'm loose. Let's go play.
Yeah. I mean,
it's awesome.
They start practice tomorrow. The first regular season game is 3 weeks from tomorrow.
That's crazy. It's crazy.
Baseball could take a lesson from that.
Yeah, I think so.
Baseball, what pitchers and catchers report 7-8 weeks before?
Well, way too long. Yeah, it's just way too long of a season.
And pitchers aren't stretching out to 9 innings anymore, so you don't need that long of a spring training.
No. I don't know how they do it, to be honest with you. That's such an interminable season. And then to get to October and have a new season, that can last a while. Man, that's a commitment. That really is.
All these sports. I mean, they're all year-round stuff now. I mean,
They are. I mean, there's a lot of stuff in the offseason with the NFL, too, that we've had to encounter. But
I guess when you're making that much money, you put the work in.
Yeah. No, I get it. And
got to protect your paper.
And got your mentals and your paper. But you also, if you're the owner, you want to play as many games as possible because they're all events.
Oh, yeah. Well, soccer's getting into that now. There's just so many, like the players have no time off in soccer, international soccer, and you play for your country, then you play for your team, and then you're
World Cups,
you're
Olympics,
this Champions League and this Champions League and this league, and it's like the players
playing year round.
Oh yeah, they are.
Mm-hmm. Getting compensated though, getting their paper.
Yep.
I suppose. It's it's an exciting time of year because all the sports are starting to crank up, and these games, even though it's September, become more meaningful as you go along. The Bucs have the Jets on Sunday. Then they're going to turn around and they're going to host the Philadelphia Eagles. And if you think the Bucs beat the Jets and the Eagles come here, if that's not going to get some attention, oh boy, you might even see the GOAT. You might see Tom Brady calling that game.
No, I think isn't he already committed to the Bears and Raiders that week?
I didn't know that. I didn't know if he was or not.
Because that's coming up where his Raiders are playing the Bears. Tom, who was in the coach's box on Monday night.
Yeah, there's a big controversy about that, and I'm sorry, but I don't see it.
It's just the same people that were upset that
he was sitting in production meetings. Yeah. But what I would say is, all right, well, he's Tom Brady. He's the owner of the Raiders, and that he's going to do everything in his power to get an advantage for his team, which in this case is the Raiders. So just be aware of that. Like what? When you get in these meetings, like just don't tell him anything. Like don't give him anything meaningful that he can then use against you. I suppose if you watch practice, he can get an idea about personnel and, when guys get waived and something, that would be an advantage. But I just think it's a lot of hype, to be honest with you.
Well,
he's in the coach's box with a headset. What does that really mean?
I want them to remove Tom from the broadcast just because he's not very good. But
well, that's another reason, right? That's a totally different. And I tried objectively to watch the game he called this past Sunday, and
just listen. Just watch Romo, watch Aikman, watch Olsen, watch Collinsworth. They're so much better.
Yeah,
I know they've been doing it longer, but Tom, you took the number one spot and said, yes, give it to me.
Well, I don't blame him for $37.5 million.
I don't either, but
yeah,
I can't fault him for taking it. But Fox, your product stinks.
Yeah, I was looking to see if it felt marketably better than his first year, and my reaction was no, it doesn't.
I still learned nothing from him, and I should learn a ton from him because he
knows more than anybody
than I'll ever learn in my life. Like
he knows everything. He knows everything.
A play happens. Tell me why it happened. Aikman does it all the time.
Sure,
he was doing it.
Who's at fault?
Game.
Yeah, who's at fault? Who missed the tackle?
As
who
soon
missed
as
the
that
run
play
fit?
happened, look at Levante David here who did this, or look at Antoine Winfield. He's instantly showing you that.
Yeah.
Brady can't figure that out himself.
I would think he could.
I know he can.
Yeah, I would think he could. It's an interesting pairing out there, though, that they got, with Pete Carroll and such. And he was just on the headset, but I would caution any team that would let that guy come in here and, and see much, including my personnel. because he's a Raider.
To be honest, I'd probably if you have to meet with him, which I don't know if they do, but if you do, I'd just be lying my ass off everything I told him. I wouldn't tell him one damn thing that was right.
That's right.
Like
we're gonna run the ball 25 straight times today, Tom. I get it. I just think it's much. I think it's a little much to do about nothing, but whatever. Just police yourself, and don't be stupid and give them game plans. I'm not sure that when he was a player that he was very beneficial to the people that would come in. I know he had a lot of gripes, and some of them were probably justified. But it's a lot different now.
He got his own teammates traded and stuff because he didn't want it.
That's right. That's
Jimmy
right.
G.
No doubt. Well, we'll see what the Bucs can do. Short week this week. Baker Mayfield was pretty beat up. I posted a Twitter video of him trying to make his way back to the locker room after he was at the podium, and boy, I was just trying to imagine what it's going to feel like when he got up the next day, because he could barely walk. It's pretty pronounced limp on the way back to the training camp. He's a sore man, if you know what I mean. So there's that. Hey, by the way, I mentioned this earlier. You did to me. Frank Caliendo in town. The great Frank Caliendo.
Yeah, I think he's tonight and tomorrow at Side
Splitters. Oh, yeah. Heard him on the radio for a little bit with T. Kraz. And always one of my favorites. He usually texts me. Not to drop names, but somehow we've kind of,
hold on,
stayed in touch. Yeah, you got that. It's a big one. But I'd love to go to one of his shows. I'm going to try to go to one of them because it's always so damn entertaining. Really is. He's so good, and he's made Gruden more famous than Gruden was just by doing Gruden. I still laugh. You mentioned you go down the wormhole. I do that every now and then. When the Raiders were on Hard Knocks, when Gruden was new there. Oh my God! When he walks in, and Mike Glennon. If you knew anything about Mike Glennon, and that's who Graciano drafted and tried to make their quarterback. He's as tall as he's like 6'6", right? But about 3 feet of it is neck. And because the thing that Frank can do is like he physically morphs into the character that he is. That's not easy to do unless you sort of have this everyman's face, where you can pull it off. But his expressions when he does Chucky are spot on, and the one with the Raiders is hysterical because he walks by and he goes, Glennon, we need a quarterback with a lot of neck. We know I got the right guy, man. Place to watch Derek Carr and those guys just fall out, and then they yell at him, hey, name, college, and salary or something like that. He goes, John Gruden, University of Dayton. I do this bleep for free. Guys are going nuts. And he goes, and then the classic, which is knock if you're with me. So they always pound the desk, But John was in the audience. The last time I went and saw Caliendo, John was there. It was great. Got to see him a little bit. So should be a good weekend over at Side Splitters. Get your tickets now. I'd give you a number, but I don't quite have all the information. Maybe tomorrow we'll try to get that done. Anyway, thanks for listening. As always, go see our friends at Breitling Boutique International Plaza Mall. Check out the men's watches, also the NFL 104th year anniversary watches, 32 teams, 32 team watches. You want to make sure you do that at International Plaza Mall. Let them know you heard about it right here on Sports Day Tampa Bay. For Steve Versnick, I'm Rick Stroud of the Tampa Bay Times. Have a great day, everybody.